Never ever vote for another Republican in my life until they come on and rebuke Trump and everything that has gone on. It just disgusts me. I would vote for Mickey Mouse before I voted for Trump. My name is Elizabeth. I live in Texas. I voted for Trump the first time. For the Republican Party to move forward and to believe that
There are so many people who voted for President Trump for the very first time. They trusted Trump for the very first time.
all of this is okay. Everything, all the criminal action, believing that the vote was stolen, it even sickens me more. I will never, ever vote for another Republican in my life until they come on and rebuke Trump and everything that has gone on. It just disgusts me. I would vote for Mickey Mouse before I voted for Trump. He definitely wants to be a dictator. He is a coward. And
Oh,
I just can't believe that all of his lies, that people do not see that. I just don't understand it. So I will not be voting for Trump, and I will not vote for another Republican in my life, no matter what, until the Republican Party stands up and talks against him.
Can somebody explain to me in crayon eating terms why I make over 3 times the federal minimum wage and I cannot afford to live?
Explain it.
I do not want to hear the pull yourself up from your bootstraps, work 90 hours a week. That's not the goal, guys.
No, it's not the goal.
That
It should not
be our standard.
Agreed. Should not be our standard.
I'm so fucking tired of people being complacent with this uniparty, both of them fucking us over. When my parents were my age, they both made less than half of what I make, and they lived alone. I cannot afford to live anywhere alone. A 1-bedroom apartment, $1,800. 2-bedroom apartment.
This generation is locked out of living on their own.
Who the fuck can afford that? It is embarrassing to come out and say that it is a struggle to survive right now. But
I'm sorry, dude. I feel for you.
Many people are struggling.
yeah, the people are struggling. And whenever a reporter asks from President Trump, like, there is an issue of affordability. People can't afford. People can't afford right now. And President Trump says, no, the gasoline prices are not high and everything is affordable. He says everything is perfect.
And do not get me started on what my grandparents were doing. They $3,000 house. And yes, I understand inflation and all of the bullshit that they have been pulling with the Fed. Why are we allowing it?
Why are we allowing it?
And then I clock out of my shift. I am tired.
Big one coming up
I
here.
have to go home. And I check the news. Another 60 fucking billion to a country nobody can find out on a map. What are we doing? Where has the plot gone? We have lost it, folks. We have fucking lost it. The American dream is dead. It is
That's sad.
Gone.
That is.
But President Trump said America was dead under Biden. Now the people are speaking truth. They are speaking facts.
Sad.
Forgotten.
Y'all notice all these cattle ranchers up in arms today? They are suddenly mad because the beef market has dropped since Trump is talking about some Argentinian beef. Oh, now they're upset. Now they want to talk about save the American farmer, right? See, this is what happens when racism runs the economy instead of logic. They voted for a man who sold them a fantasy that their white skin was going to be economic policy, and that somehow legislating harm and voting for harm towards black, brown, and immigrant communities was going to bring back the good old days, right? When America was great. But here's the gag. Capitalism don't love y'all either, boo-boo. See, Trump is not loyal to the American farmers like y'all thought he was. He is loyal to profit margins. What happened to all that? Oh, he's a businessman. He's a businessman. Y'all were excited about that. And if it's cheaper to import beef from Argentina than to pay y'all's fair rate in Texas, Kansas, Ohio, wherever, then baby, he's gonna sign and seal that deal and watch y'all's family farm fold like a cheap lawn chair at the county fair. See, they thought voting for Trump meant putting others back in their place. All they did was put themselves in a chokehold of their own making. Because, hey, when you vote for oppression, baby, you don't get to choose who gets crushed first. That ain't how that works. See, that's what I mean when I say racism is expensive. It costs the worker, it costs the farmer, it costs the nation. See, they didn't realize they were sacrificing their own economy to feed their hatred. And now they're on here crying about losing markets, losing subsidies, losing land. And I can't even muster up a tear. Where was all this worry when it was our communities losing everything? So to all the Make America Great Again farmers, baby, welcome to the America you built, the America you voted for. America where greed don't know color and baby loyalty don't pay. Because Trump ain't y'all savior, baby. I regret.
Yeah, during election campaign, a lot of people, a lot of farmers, they were trying to vote for President Trump. They have trusted President Trump. A lot of people have trusted for the very first time, and they voted, and now they are getting what they have voted for. I have seen a lot of videos, not just a one video. People are crying, and they are, especially the farmers, they are crying. The illegal immigrants are being deported from the country, and there's no one to work. They're losing everything.
Voting for Trump. You guys told me I would, and here we are, just barely over a month after.
It looks whole USA just voted for President Trump in 2024.
He was sworn in, and I have so many reasons, so many disappointments, and I've lost so many rights as a woman already. So I guess I'll just start listing the reasons why. So many rights gone as a woman. Starting with
She's crying.
Did I lose rights? I thought I did. See, I was told so many times by the left that I lost all of my rights because I'm a woman. So I thought for sure I did, but now that I'm trying to come up with a list, it's just not coming to the tip of my tongue here. I don't know. Maybe we'll try again after I do some research.
Yeah, I want to jump on the bandwagon of saying that I regret my vote for Trump. My whole family does. My husband and I own a farm in Ohio that was funded through the Inflation Reduction Act, which Biden signed into law. And now the executive orders from Trump are rolling back all of that funding for us. So now we can no longer afford our farm. And when all that happened, it was like a lightning bolt hit my brain. And I realized that I shouldn't just be voting for myself, that Trump's policies and EOs are hurting millions of people. But it took it affecting me personally to understand what I had done was wrong. And I think it's really important for anyone to come out who voted for him and is now negatively impacted by the executive orders, or maybe you have friends or family, especially in minority communities, who are being very heavily impacted by what's going on right now. So yeah, I think it's time for us to stop being so selfish maybe and to vote for what's best for the country instead of just in our tiny little bubble, because we're all in the same boat now and we're all equally screwed by our new president.
So I'm getting that.
So they are the real Trump, loyal Trump supporter who voted for Trump in a previous election, and now they are turning against Trump. That's a big development. And I was asking in a previous video, where are Trump supporters? So these are the people who voted for President Trump. Now they are regretting, and they are literally accepting that the policies of President Trump are hurting us, and especially the farmers, and inflation, affordability, each and everything.
Asked a lot lately, what was the final straw? What made me stop supporting Trump? And the truth is, it wasn't one thing.
Okay.
It was a slow, uncomfortable process of watching reality diverge from what he promised us and deciding whether I was going to follow the truth or protect my identity. In 2016, I was a lifelong Republican. I voted red my entire adult life. Trump wasn't my first choice. I actually supported Marco Rubio. I campaigned and invested. But when Trump became the nominee, I automatically got in line. And I want to be honest about why. At the time, I believed Republicans were better for the economy, better on taxes, better against corruption, and that Democrats were evil and couldn't be trusted. That wasn't because I'd done some deep research. It was because of the media I consumed, the voices that I trusted, and the environment that I lived in. I watched Fox News. I hated Democrats. I believe CNN and MSNBC were propaganda, and that conditioning made it easy to accept Trump, even when there were parts of him that made me uneasy. At the time,
That's what President Trump says. Fox News. He likes Fox News, and he always criticized CNN and ABC network. He even called the reporters, "You are from fake news." Whenever a reporter from CNN or ABC network asks a question from President Trump, he says, "You are from fake news media." That's what he's also
I was
saying.
still active duty. I was senior enlisted and I was coming up on 20 years. Ending the war in Afghanistan mattered to me deeply. It was my number one issue. I was done with forever wars. I was done with half measures and endless deployments with no clear end. I wanted a better future for the troops coming up behind me.
Yeah, wait for a moment. And President Trump was a person who was against wars. Before this election, he said several times that I will end every war in this world. What happened next? Then he just came and he also claimed, "I have stopped 8 wars." In the first year of his second term, he stopped 8 wars. He was saying again and again, "I deserve Nobel Peace Prize." He also said, "I have stopped India and Pakistan war, a nuclear war," and he said, "I deserve Nobel Peace Prize." So at that time, I thought he's a person, okay, he's a person who likes peace. But now he himself started a war with Iran. that That's a contradiction in in the statements of President Trump.
Trump was the only candidate I believed would actually end it. And as much as ending the war mattered to me, so did how we engaged in war. I was already critical with drone strikes under Obama. I believe they removed accountability, normalized killing at a distance, and kept the public insulated from the cost of war. So when Trump came in, I expected restraint. Instead, within 2 years, drone strikes dramatically increased, doubling what Obama did in 8. And Trump revoked an executive order for reporting requirements on civilian casualties. Oversight was reduced, transparency disappeared. That did not sit well with me. Then came the border wall. I believed border security mattered, but I was never draconian about it. I expected legislation, something long-standing. After all, Trump won all 3 branches. But instead, he took center stage. He tried to play hero instead of pressing for compromise in law. What I couldn't reconcile with was that Trump was diverting military funds to pay for the wall. Funds allocated for readiness, housing, and military construction were reprogrammed for a political project. That felt like betrayal. You don't claim to support the military while pulling resources from them to score political points. That's not strength, it was optics. And around that same time, his pattern toward veterans became impossible to ignore, calling fallen service members suckers and losers, repeatedly disparaging John McCain for being captured, mocking sacrifice, mocking service. That mattered to me just as much, because respect for service isn't about hero worship, it's about honoring the cost. And I watched a man demand loyalty, show none in return. And still, I somehow stayed longer than I should have. But the moment I truly stepped back was his first impeachment, when Trump pressured Zelensky and sought dirt on a political opponent. That was the final straw. Ever since I was a little kid, I had massive respect and admiration for the office of the presidency. The office is not a personal weapon. Using it for personal political gain was disheartening and maddening. What really snapped me out of it wasn't just Trump's actions. It was watching right-wing media completely downplay it, watching them make excuses, watching them align themselves with Trump personally instead of the integrity of the presidency itself. That was the moment I realized something deeper was wrong. Because if the presidency can be compromised and the media that claims to defend the Constitution rushes to protect the man instead of the office, then truth is no longer the priority. Loyalty is. That realization forced me to step back, and once I did, I couldn't stop seeing it. After the impeachment, what followed only reinforced my decision to step back. The Doha deal stripped away leverage in a way that set off every alarm I had. Trump negotiated directly with the Taliban, excluded the Afghan government, and agreed to release 5,000 Taliban prisoners. In return, we were promised conditions and security guarantees. Those conditions were violated almost immediately. 4 of the 5 mandated elements were broken, and there were no meaningful consequences. The reason this torqued me is because I had been critical of this exact behavior before. I was furious years earlier when Obama publicly discussed troop reductions and timelines. From an operational standpoint, that kind of signaling gives an enemy time to wait you out. It hands them information they can exploit. I didn't excuse it then, and I wasn't willing to excuse it now.
So this man was calculating the policies of President Trump, the consequences of the consequences because of the policies of President Trump from so long, and now he just turned against President Trump.
Responsibly is not the same thing as announcing your exit and hoping for the best. And again, I watched right-wing media ignore it, downplay it, make excuses for behavior they were condemning Obama for years earlier. That's when the pattern became undeniable. The standard wasn't principle, it was loyalty. Then
still they criticize Obama. President Trump always criticized Obama, especially the Republicans. They hate Democrats, they hate Obama so
he
much.
fucked up the COVID response. There's no way to sugarcoat that. He downplayed deadly viruses, undermined experts, and politicized basic public health. And then I watched him ask about using the military against protesters. I watched him flirt with authoritarian responses to civil unrest then. I watched chaos when leadership was required. Then came January 6th. By that point, I already knew something was deeply wrong. The lies were clear, the patterns were clear, and the excuses were familiar. But January 6th was the moment that changed who I am, because that day stripped away every remaining illusion. It showed what happens when lies are protected long enough, when accountability is delayed long enough, when people are taught that loyalty matters more than truth. It showed the end result of excusing behavior, minimizing corruption, and normalizing the abuse of power. January 6th wasn't a protest. It was a predictable outcome of years of conditioning people to reject reality in favor of identity. And what shook me the most wasn't only the violence, it was watching people who claim to love the Constitution rationalize its violation. Watching people who claim to support law and order excuse the attack on the very process that gives this country legitimacy. And watching people who claim to call themselves patriots turn their backs on the most basic democratic principle of all, the peaceful transfer of power. That's when silence stopped being an option for me, because I knew exactly how people got there. I knew the talking points. I knew the mental shortcuts. I knew the excuses because I had used versions of them myself. And I knew that if people like me didn't speak up, if we didn't name the hypocrisy and double standards honestly, the lie would keep spreading unchecked.
I can't believe this person just voted for President Trump. I literally can't believe. And he is calculating from the start, everything, each and everything. He explained very well. And now, for sure, he will turn against President Trump. He's saying, I don't like the hypocrisy of President Trump.
January 6th didn't open my eyes. It did compel me to act. And that's why I speak up now. Not because it's comfortable and not because it's easy, but because truth became my anchor and facts became my guide. I don't care what party they lead to. I don't care what ideology they support. If my beliefs collide with reality, reality wins. And once you live that way, you can't go back. You can't unsee the manipulation. You can't ignore the excuses. You can't pretend that power protecting itself at the expense of democracy is normal. I'm not proud of everything I believed in the past, but I am proud that when facts changed, I did too.
Yeah, he also changed. So what is your statement about this whole explanation? What do you say? What are your random thoughts? Have you voted for President Trump in a previous election? Let me know in the comment section, guys. And please click on the red subscribe button. It's really very important. When you click on the red subscribe button, it actually helps me a lot. So I request you to please click on the red subscribe button. I'll bring more important videos for you. Till then, please take care of yourself.